Hello, and welcome back to Search for Self-Mastery with Daria Gutiasco. This time, I am going to talk to you about how to improve your communication skills, both personally and professionally. If you feel that for some reason, you are not being understood and that you cannot convey your ideas in a clear and concise manner, or simply that your interactions are not getting you anywhere, then this episode is for you. I am going to teach you how to become an effective communicator so that you stop being ignored and start being heard, and above all, respected. Let's get started. As always, let's get to the point. If you can't communicate effectively, you are sabotaging your relationships and your professional progress. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. If you can't express your ideas clearly, you will never be taken seriously or as seriously as you could be. In fact, not knowing how to communicate clearly and effectively will only bring you problems even if you don't perceive them. They will push you aside, they will not take you seriously, they will not take your proposals or ideas seriously, but above all, what hurts the most is that they will never realize what you are truly capable of, and only because you don't know how to communicate it. So let's move on to point number 1 of this episode, which is that poor communication is the root of most problems in relationships and at work. Mastering communication skills allows you to be clear, direct, and effective. When you communicate well, others understand your message, and interactions become smooth and productive. The point is that a man who knows how to communicate well positions himself as someone who knows what he wants and where he is going, because he knows how to express it correctly. The goal is to leave no room for misunderstandings from others towards you. And that is what defines and shows others both your intentions and your abilities, in both your personal and professional life. So, the lack of clarity and effective communication condemns you to constant misunderstandings, unnecessary conflicts, and missed opportunities. As we mentioned earlier, if you cannot express what you think effectively, then your relationships deteriorate because they do not know what you want. They do not know what your expectations are, and you cannot identify theirs either. If you don't know how to communicate or ask in that sense, your career can stagnate, and you end up frustrated because others don't know what you really mean. This is not their fault, it is your inability to communicate. But be careful, there is something super important to consider here. The fact that you do not know how to communicate effectively does not mean that other people know how to listen or interpret what you want to say. And it is obvious that the topic of communication consists of 3 things or 3 important parts. 1 is the sender, who is the one delivering the message. 2, the message. 3, the receiver. This means that one of the 3 can be defective or all can be defective. So, to eliminate problems, we need to reduce that variable by being good communicators. This brings me to step number 2. Effective communication is not just about speaking. It is about listening and understanding the message, which is what we were saying a moment ago. Listening actively and understanding others is just as important as expressing yourself well. Those who know how to listen demonstrate empathy towards others and build trust with the people who are listening to them, which strengthens any type of relationship that exists between 2 or more people. A man or a person who knows how to listen is a man who understands the needs of others. And here there is also a point. This does not mean that you always have to try to understand others. Sometimes it is the opposite. Sometimes you do not have to listen to them. Sometimes you have to completely shut down whenever someone says incoherent things and does not know how to communicate or is just trying to waste your time. It is those people to whom you have to deny or limit your listening time. But anyway, getting back to the point, if you have this ability or characteristic, it can give you an advantage not only by speaking, but also by connecting. That connection is what leads you to success in any environment, especially in sales, because it is not just about being heard, but about generating mutual understanding. Surely you know or have seen, you have experienced that there are people who talk without listening. This means that the person becomes someone who only talks about themselves, about what matters to them, and sometimes about completely irrelevant topics that no one cares about because everything revolves around them, and they simply disconnect and stop listening to you. This has happened to me more times than I would like to admit, and the truth is, you have no idea how much what you say or don't say impacts things. And I'm sure it has happened to you too when the people you are trying to communicate with, in your opinion, disconnect from you because they don't care about what you have to say, because you are not interested in their perspectives and are only thinking about yourself. Has that happened to you? It has to me, many times. And this is precisely what destroys any effective interaction, meaning that we fail to connect with the person or people in front of us. This brings me to point number 3. Confidence in communication makes you a natural leader, meaning someone that people want to listen to and follow on their own. Perhaps you have already noticed, and I provide realistic examples, things that have happened to both you and me in any field. in any country, in any culture. Being clear, direct, and confident in your way of communicating positions you as a leader, someone who is respected and whose words carry specific weight. And if it hasn't happened to you, you have surely seen people who have those characteristics, and naturally, others follow, appreciate, and respect them. A man who expresses himself with confidence and clarity is not only heard, but also followed by others. And if we look at it in more detail, you will realize that it is a form of power, a way to inspire, a way to communicate, a way to persuade others, and you can use it for both good and bad. But be careful, here lies the responsibility regarding this whole issue, to take things for the benefit of oneself as well as for others, and not to be a burden that only takes advantage of others. In this context, people do not trust someone who wants to take advantage of them. On the contrary, they end up labeling them as charlatans and good-for-nothings. If you want to be taken seriously, you need to speak with the conviction that you know what you are saying, that you have the experience and the context and the evidence, that you have lived what you are trying to communicate. I invite you not to be one of those people who just talk for the sake of talking, as that will create a lack of confidence in your communication, making you appear insecure and weak because you are making things up, and no one respects a person who has neither conviction nor certainty in their words. If you don't believe in what you say, why do you expect others to? Men who cannot communicate with confidence are not taken seriously, and this directly affects their ability to lead or influence in any environment they are in. Thus, we return to the point of the importance of effective communication. As you may realize, this is not optional if you want to succeed in your personal and professional life. It doesn't matter what level you are at, whether you are just starting your job or already have some experience, or if you hold a leadership position. If you continue to struggle to convey your ideas but do not know how to listen, you will keep missing opportunities and gradually fall behind. However, if you have the discipline and intention to learn to communicate with clarity, confidence, and empathy, you will position yourself as a person of influence and respect. And be careful, you cannot force anyone to respect you or to believe in you. Quite the opposite. You have to demonstrate that your words are consistent and backed by evidence, and that the things you are communicating stem from this experience. If you lack a bit of experience or evidence that gives you the ability or confidence to communicate more efficiently, then first develop that aspect, gain the experience, go out and try things until you say, okay, I understand it now, and then you can communicate and share with others what you have learned. That will give you much more strength to have a better impact on what you communicate. And if you have been listening to the other episodes so far, you have heard me say this again, the choice is yours. Will you continue to be the man that no one listens to, or will you become someone whose message has weight and purpose? Remember, you are just one decision away from changing your life. See you in the next episode, Yusan.